Vanishing Point, a white Dodge Challenger screaming across the desert, a man with nothing left to lose, and one of the most enigmatic endings in cinema history. Behind this 1971 cult classic lies a treasure trove of secrets most fans have never heard. From a stunt driver outrunning real cops at 145 miles per hour to a deleted scene featuring Charlotte Rampling as the Angel of Death. These are 21 weird facts, plus one bonus revelation that still haunts movie buffs today. Welcome back to Rewatch Club. Number 1. Gene Hackman was the first choice for Kowalski. The original choice to play Kowalski wasn't Barry Newman at all. Director Richard C. Sarafian desperately wanted Gene Hackman for the role. The same actor who would chase down criminals in The French Connection wanted to be the one doing the running. But 20th Century Fox studio executive Richard Zanuck shut that idea down immediately. The studio also vetoed George C. Scott, fresh off his Oscar-winning performance in Patton, because he had a reputation for being difficult.
Oh my God. The winner is George C. Scott.
Instead, Zanuck insisted on casting Barry Newman, a relative unknown who had just finished The Lawyer. Newman brought something different to Kowalski, a quiet, almost zen-like detachment that Hackman's intensity might have overshadowed. Sometimes the second choice becomes the only choice that could have worked. Number 2. Chrysler rented the cars for $1 per day. Chrysler loaned the production company multiple 1970 Dodge Challengers for just $1 per day. That's not a typo. One single dollar. This was Chrysler's standard practice with 20th Century Fox. The exact number of Challengers used remains disputed to this day. Barry Newman and stunt coordinator Carey Lofton both agreed that 5 cars were used during filming.
5 identical Alpine white Challengers provided by Chrysler specifically for the production.
But director Sarafian claimed on the DVD commentary that 8 Challengers were utilized. What everyone does agree on is that by the time filming wrapped, those cars were absolutely destroyed. The production beat them so badly that near the end of shooting, the crew had to cannibalize parts from the damaged vehicles just to keep one car running for the final scenes. Only one Challenger remained operational when the cameras stopped rolling. Number 3. The final crash car wasn't a Challenger. Here's something that might shock you. The car that crashes into the bulldozers at the film's climax isn't actually a Dodge Challenger at all. It's a 1967 Chevrolet Camaro.
That's not a Challenger at all. It's a 1967 Chevrolet Camaro shell.
The stunt team didn't want to destroy their last functioning Mopar, so they stripped a Camaro shell of its engine and transmission, then packed it full of explosives. Stunt coordinator Carey Lofton rigged a quarter-mile-long cable system and used one of the surviving Challengers to tow the Camaro into those bulldozer blades at high speed. The moment the shell hit the barricade, the explosives detonated. If you watch carefully, the car actually explodes a split second before making contact with the bulldozers. It's a remarkable piece of practical effects work, and most viewers never notice the switch. Number 4. The script was based on a real high-speed death. The screenplay was written by a Cuban exile living in England who used a pseudonym that was actually a clever literary joke. Guillermo Cabrera Infante wrote under the name Guillermo Cain.
This magical script written by a guy by the name of Guillermo Infante Cabrera.
A direct nod to hard-boiled crime writer James M. Cain. The story was based on 2 real events. The first was the disgraced career of a San Diego police officer. The second was an actual high-speed pursuit of a man who refused to stop and was killed when he crashed into a roadblock.
There's film of what almost became a real tragedy instead of a fictional one.
Infante modeled Super Soul after legendary rock and roll singer The Big Bopper. His script was deliberately steeped in counterculture themes: rebellion, drugs, sexual freedom, and rock and roll. It captured the disillusionment of a generation that had watched the 60s dream collapse into something darker. If you're enjoying these facts so far, do us a quick favor. Hit that like button and subscribe if you haven't already. It really helps the channel grow. And there's plenty more weirdness coming up. Number 5. Barry Newman did his own 180-degree spin. Barry Newman performed one of the film's most memorable stunts himself, without the director's knowledge. In the scene just before the final crash, Kowalski executes a perfect 180-degree turn on the highway. That wasn't a stunt double behind the wheel. Newman had been learning from Carey Lofton throughout the production, and Lofton was impressed by how quickly the actor picked up driving skills. So Newman decided to just go for it. He nailed the turn on the first take, spinning the Challenger around on that desert road while cameras rolled. Lofton later said, "He caught on so fast I couldn't believe it."
Delivery car driver was going to do his thing. It was the last thing he could do. He was going to deliver that car.
The scene before the crash at the end where he comes up and does a 180 on the road, he did that himself. Number 6. Cleavon Little filmed all his scenes in 3 days. All of Cleavon Little's scenes as the iconic DJ Super Soul were filmed in under 3 days. 3 days. That's all it took to create one of the most memorable characters in 70s cinema.
This is yours truly, Super Soul, directed live with no net people.
Little was already a stage star, having just won a Tony Award for Ossie Davis's Pearly the year before. Vanishing Point was only his 3rd credited film role, and his charismatic energy provided the perfect counterpoint to Barry Newman's stoic silence. The radio station scenes were shot in Goldfield, Nevada, a near ghost town on Route 95. The building used for the Cow Studio was the abandoned Goldfield Hotel, which in its pre-Vegas heyday was considered the most lavish hotel in Nevada. 3 years later, Little would achieve immortality as Sheriff Bart in Blazing Saddles. Number 7. Charlotte Rampling played Death in a deleted scene. The UK version of Vanishing Point runs 7 minutes longer than the American release, and those 7 minutes completely change the meaning of the film. In the British cut, Charlotte Rampling appears as a mysterious hitchhiker, whom Kowalski picks up near the end. The scene takes place at night, shrouded in thick fog. Rampling's character tells Kowalski she has been waiting for him for a long time.
Have you been waiting a long time?
I don't really feel like being social tonight.
Everywhere, and since forever, patiently. She gives him marijuana, which he accepts despite refusing drugs throughout the rest of the film. When Kowalski awakens the next morning, she has vanished without a trace. According to both Barry Newman and director Sarafian, Rampling's character was meant to represent Death herself. American audiences never saw this scene. The studio feared it was too confusing. Number 8. The white color had zero symbolic meaning. The white color of the Challenger had absolutely no symbolic meaning whatsoever. Director Sarafian confirmed this on the DVD commentary. Many film scholars have theorized that the white car represents purity or innocence. Some connected it to apocalyptic imagery. None of that was intentional. The car was painted white for one simple reason. It needed to stand out against the desert background. When you're filming a speeding vehicle across the muted browns and tans of the American Southwest, white pops on camera. The production team also discovered that several of the Challengers weren't originally white. They were painted specifically for the film. During the flat tire scene, sharp-eyed viewers can actually spot traces of the original green paint showing through dents in the body. Number 9. John Amos made his film debut here. The film marked the feature debut of John Amos, who appears briefly as Super Soul's radio engineer. Most viewers don't even notice him in those scenes, but within a few years, Amos would become one of the most recognized faces on American television. He went on to play James Evans Sr. on the groundbreaking sitcom Good Times, appeared as the adult Kunta Kinte in the landmark miniseries Roots, and later portrayed Admiral Percy Fitzwallace on The West Wing. Amos passed away in August 2024 at age 84.
Amos passed away at 84. Now he's being remembered for the integrity and intellect he brought.
Leaving behind an extraordinary legacy that few people know, began in a small radio station set in a Nevada ghost town. His role alongside Cleavon Little represents a fascinating snapshot of two African-American actors at the very beginning of careers that would reshape television representation. Number 10. The stunt coordinator outran real police at 145 miles per hour. The film's stunt coordinator had a real-life encounter with police that sounds like something straight out of the movie. Kerry Lofton was driving one of the Challengers back to the hotel after filming when he passed New Mexico State troopers going 145 miles per hour. 4 or 5 cop cars gave chase, but they could only manage about 125. Lofton pulled into a small town, drove into a gas station, and executed a perfect 360 spin between the pumps, positioning the gas tank directly in front of the pump. He calmly stepped out as if nothing had happened. The troopers arrested him on the spot. The producer had to explain that Lofton was testing the car due to mechanical issues. Somehow, it worked. Quick reminder, if you're still with us, you're clearly as obsessed with this movie as we are. Drop a comment below telling us which fact has surprised you the most so far. And stick around, because the bonus fact at the end is going to blow your mind. We've been teasing it since the beginning, and trust us, it's worth the wait. Number 11. The cameras faked the high speeds. The cameras were deliberately undercranked to create the illusion of higher speeds. Despite the Challengers being equipped with powerful 440 cubic-inch V8 engines, stunt coordinator Kerry Lofton admitted in a 1986 interview that the car's top speed was only about 100 to 110 miles per hour.
The cars probably never exceeded 110 miles per hour.
The vehicles came with 4-to-1 sure grip differentials, which weren't well suited for sustained high-speed running. To compensate, the cinematography team adjusted the camera speed during certain chase sequences. When the footage was played back at normal speed, the car appeared to be moving much faster than it actually was. This technique was common in car films of the era. Bullitt used similar methods. It's a reminder that movie magic often comes from clever manipulation of the most basic tools, rather than raw horsepower or dangerous driving. Number 12. The Nude writer became a costume designer. Actress Gilda Texter became instantly famous for her role as the Nude rider, a credit that appeared exactly that way in the film's end titles. Her character rides a motorcycle completely naked through the desert, offering Kowalski drugs and herself. He declines both.
You gonna stay with us?
No, I don't think so.
In a delicious irony, Texter went on to build an incredibly successful career in Hollywood, but not as an actress. She became a costume designer and wardrobe supervisor, working on major productions including Romancing the Stone and Air America. So the woman who made her film debut wearing absolutely nothing spent the rest of her career making sure everyone else was properly dressed. The nude motorcycle scene remains one of the most discussed moments in the film, often interpreted as a vision or fantasy representing Kowalski's last glimpse of the freedom and liberation the counterculture promised but couldn't deliver. Number 13. An Oscar winner played the desert prospector. Dean Jagger, who plays the rattlesnake-catching prospector in the desert, was an Academy Award-winning actor slumming in a low-budget road movie. Jagger had won Best Supporting Actor for 1949's 12 O'Clock High opposite Gregory Peck.
The winner is Dean Jagger for 12 O'Clock High.
He'd appeared in classics like White Christmas with Bing Crosby. By 1971, he was 73 years old and taking whatever interesting roles came his way. His scenes were shot on the Salt Lakes of Nevada, and despite his pedigree, Jagger threw himself completely into the eccentric character. The prospector represents one of the film's strange angels, a helpful figure appearing in the wilderness to guide Kowalski. He catches snakes to trade with a desert religious commune, hides Kowalski's car from helicopters, and offers philosophical wisdom about survival. His advice? The best way to get away is to root right in where you are.
The best way, to my knowledge, to get away is to root right in where you are. Just root right in.
Number 14. The soundtrack almost featured Randy Newman. The soundtrack almost sounded completely different. Director Sarafian originally wanted to score the entire film using music from Motel Shot, an album by Delaney, Bonnie, and Friends. But Fox's music department refused to spend the money for those rights. Sarafian then suggested Randy Newman compose an original score. Fox rejected that too. Instead, musical supervisor Jimmy Bowen assembled an eclectic collection of tracks, and Delaney, Bonnie, and Friends ended up appearing in the film anyway, performing as the revival band at a desert religious gathering. The scene includes a young Rita Coolidge singing David Gates from the band Bread playing piano, and one of the singers holding a baby who would grow up to be Becca Bramlett, who later replaced Stevie Nicks in Fleetwood Mac. Number 15. Kim Carnes made her first recording for this film. The soundtrack features the very first recording ever made by Kim Carnes, credited on the album as Kim and Dave, with her husband Dave Ellingson. Their song Nobody Knows plays during one of the film's quieter moments. Carnes would go on to massive fame a decade later with Bette Davis Eyes, one of the biggest hits of the 1980s. The soundtrack also includes Mountain's hard-rocking Mississippi Queen and Big Mama Thornton's gospel track Sing Out for Jesus. Thornton was the R&B pioneer who originally recorded Hound Dog and Ball and Chain before Elvis Presley and Janis Joplin made those songs famous. Carnes also wrote the song performed by Thornton. It's a remarkable collection of musical talent hiding in plain sight, most of it unknown to audiences at the time. Number 16. It flopped in America, but conquered Europe. The movie was a box office disappointment in America, but became a massive hit in Europe, particularly in the United Kingdom. American critics were brutal upon release. Charles Champlin of the Los Angeles Times wrote that it might have had a point, but it got lost. But British audiences embraced the film's existential themes and counterculture spirit. It was eventually re-released in the United States as a double feature with The French Connection, another film about fast cars and moral ambiguity. The contrast is fascinating. Both films explore men pushing machines to their limits, but while Popeye Doyle chases criminals, Kowalski simply chases freedom. The film eventually earned over $12 million from a budget of just $1.6 million, proving that cult followings can be more valuable than opening weekends. Number 17. Spielberg and Tarantino are obsessed with it. Steven Spielberg has publicly named Vanishing Point as one of his favorite films. The connection makes sense when you consider that Spielberg's own 1971 television movie Duel, about a man terrorized by an unseen truck driver on desert highways, shares remarkable DNA with Kowalski's journey. Both films strip away everything except a man, a machine, and an endless road. Quentin Tarantino paid even more explicit homage in his 2007 film Death Proof
together. Because it seems it's such a crazy movie because there's so much dialogue.
The movie references Vanishing Point by name, calling it one of the best American movies ever made. Tarantino's film features a white Dodge Challenger, bearing the same license plate as Kowalski's vehicle, OA5599. Edgar Wright also cited Vanishing Point as inspiration for his 2017 film Baby Driver. The film keeps influencing new generations of filmmakers. Number 18. Primal Scream named an entire album after it. The Scottish rock band Primal Scream named their entire 1997 album after the film and crafted it as an alternative soundtrack. Lead singer Bobby Gillespie explained, "The music in the film is hippie music, so we thought, why not record some music that really reflects the mood of the film? We love the air of paranoia and speed freak righteousness. It's a pure underground film, rammed with claustrophobia." The album's lead single was titled Kowalski. The music video, scripted by Trainspotting author Irvin Welsh, features supermodel Kate Moss and Devin Aoki stealing a Dodge Challenger and beating up members of the band. The track samples Super Soul's famous Last American Hero speech. Gillespie called the album an anarcho-syndicalist speed freak road movie record. Number 19. Guns N' Roses sampled Super Soul's speech. Guns N' Roses also borrowed from the film, incorporating Super Soul's Last American Hero speech into their song Breakdown from the 1991 album Use Your Illusion 2. Cleavon Little's iconic words about Kowalski being the last beautiful free soul on this planet resonated with Axl Rose's themes of rebellion and disillusionment. The speech has become the most quoted element of the entire film, sampled across multiple decades of rock and electronic music. Audioslave's 2003 music video for Show Me How to Live recreated scenes directly from the film. With band members driving a 1970 Challenger across the desert. Bruce Springsteen named Vanishing Point as his favorite action film during a 2021 appearance on The Late Show with Stephen Colbert. Number 20. Barry Newman's shocking interpretation of the ending. Barry Newman had a very specific interpretation of the film's mysterious ending that differs from what most audiences assume.
Why did he die? To this day, there are still questions. People still ask questions about the film.
In a 1986 interview, Newman explained that Kowalski smiles as he races toward the bulldozers because he genuinely believes he can make it through. Newman said Kowalski sees light glinting between the two bulldozer blades and interprets it as an opening, an escape route. To Kowalski, it was still a hole to escape through, Newman explained. It symbolized that no matter how far they push or chase you, no one can truly take away your freedom. Newman believed the entire film was an essay on existentialism. Kowalski drives to drive, with no real purpose beyond the act itself. He decides to give his life its own definition and meaning, with complete freedom over his actions. The ending isn't suicide, it's transcendence. Number 21. Bonus fact. The mysterious black car was death all along. Here's the revelation I've been saving, the one that changes everything. Remember the very opening shot? A freeze frame shows Kowalski's white Challenger passing a mysterious black car, and then the camera follows the black car, not the Challenger. Why would the director ignore the hero car to track a random background vehicle? Because it's not random at all. That black car represents death. Kowalski passes death at the very beginning, establishing that his fate is already sealed. When you combine this with the Charlotte Rampling scene, where the Angel of Death tells Kowalski she has been waiting for him everywhere and since forever.
Oh, everywhere. Everywhere and since forever.
The entire film becomes a meditation on a man who has already crossed over. The chase isn't about escape, it's about acceptance. Kowalski isn't running from death. He's been running with death since the very first frame. Vanishing Point remains one of cinema's great mysteries, a film that refuses to fully explain itself. It's about speed and stillness, freedom and fate. A man who ran so fast, he became a legend. More than 50 years later, we're still chasing Kowalski across those desert highways, still trying to understand why he smiled at the end. That white Challenger has never stopped moving. It lives on in albums, in Tarantino films, in every rebel who ever wondered what lay beyond the next horizon. So hit subscribe, leave a comment with your interpretation of the ending, and tell us which classic film you want us to cover next. Which club do you belong to? The Searchers or Rewatch Club?